First, let's start with this case. My husband Jack, 33, and I, 28F, have a toddler together and have another one on the way. He stays at home and I work full-time. I'm out of the house the majority of the day while he's home with the toddler. Jack doesn't do anything. He never sets an alarm to get up with the toddler. I do. He sits in the living room until our toddler's nap, which varies every day, then goes to the basement to play his video games. Our toddler will sleep anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. Then once our toddler wakes up, he gets her, makes dinner, and maybe gets one chore done around the house. Almost every day he does this. There are some days when I'm pleasantly surprised. I've talked to Jack multiple times about keeping the house cleaned, but he claims it's not fair that I don't have to do anything, which isn't true. If the house is kept up on, I do dishes, laundry, and meal prep on my days off. Sometimes I'll bake too. I'll also be on toddler duty. However, once he lets the house go, I don't do anything other than clean the areas my toddler is in so she's not affected by it because she deserves a clean house. I have almost gotten the house completely cleaned 3 times now, and he lets the house go. I've tried splitting chores, but again, it's hard when I work full-time and I'm out of the house the majority of the day. My job has me on my feet all day, and some days are harder than others. I tell Jack all the time, and have proven it sometimes, that if the roles were reversed, I'd have the house cleaned for him. Jack claims that's not true. He claims it's my fault that the house is trashed because I should do more. Yet I work full-time because he didn't want to work, which I supported and made more sense financially. I have also been really tired and just want to sleep due to my pregnancy, but Jack gets mad if I don't wake up in the morning, even though I let him sleep in most mornings. I know how Reddit can be, which is why I didn't want to post, but I'm at my wit's end. We literally had another fight about the house being trashed, and instead of helping me clean like I asked, he's now working in the garage. Jack will literally find other things to do other than clean the house. For example, if there's a task that needs to be done, he'll take all day to do it, even if it's an hour-long job. So am I in the wrong for expecting my husband to clean the house? Should I be doing more? Let's start judging. Perhaps it's time for Jack to get a job out of the house, and for you to hire a nanny and a weekly house cleaner. It's clear that Jack has no intention of fulfilling the tasks you envision him doing in the several hours your child naps. He's rather play video games. Nor does he plan to rise with your child or get off the living room couch. As little as humanly possible is not a job description, nor does it describe a responsible partner. Note that you work full-time out of the house because Jack didn't want to work. Surprise! He doesn't want to work in your home either. You're not in the wrong. Oh, girl, let's break this down because Jack is giving bare minimum energy while you're out here doing the most. You're working full-time, pregnant, running on fumes, and still doing dishes, laundry, and toddler duty on your days off. Meanwhile, this man sits on his butt all day, sneaks off to play video games during nap time, and thinks making dinner qualifies as a full day's work? Nah. Jack signed up to be a stay-at-home dad, not a stay-at-home gamer. The whole point of being the partner at home is to run the house. Clean it, manage it, keep it functioning, especially when your spouse is out busting their butt all day. Yet somehow, he's flipped this script to make it your fault that the house is a mess. Bold of him to claim that when his only consistent chore seems to be finding ways to avoid cleaning. And that, if the roles were reversed, nonsense? Let's be real. You've already proven you can do it all, working full-time and keeping a clean house when it falls on you. He, on the other hand, has turned working in the garage into his full-time excuse. You're not wrong for expecting him to clean the house. In fact, you're being way too generous by doing any of the housework on top of everything else. He doesn't get to weaponize your exhaustion or pregnancy against you. The house isn't trashed because you're slacking. It's trashed because he's not doing his damn job. You're at your wit's end for a reason. He's not pulling his weight, and instead of owning up to it, he's trying to gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. You're not. He needs to step up, or you'll burn out. And trust me, you deserve way better than that. You're not in the wrong. So, he wants his pregnant 50 working wife to do all the housework because that would be fair. You really need to sit and think about what's going to happen here as you becoming more pregnant and then PP, honestly. At the very least, you need to consider outside childcare and him getting a job. But I'd be thinking, do you need 3 children, or would dropping him lessen your load so that toddler and new baby can get your attention? You're not in the wrong. Next up, I, 38, had 2 work colleagues, Mary and Adam, both in their late 20s, early 30s. Mary started in the company first, and then she got Adam to join. They worked in different departments, and Mary was in mine. Later, Mary left the company to pursue another carrier. When they started at the company, they were already married for a few years. Now, Mary is the kindest and loveliest person I've ever met. She was always polite, helpful, and would cheer anyone up. We missed her dearly. So it came to a shock when we found out she is divorcing Adam because he has cheated on her. I have called her to express how sorry I am that this has happened to her, and we were talking almost daily ever since. I was impressed how well Mary holds herself in such situation. She wouldn't badmouth Adam, and the only thing she mentioned was how her wedding dress and a few family heirlooms went missing when she was moving her stuff from their apartment. She thought they might be misplaced in a different box, and will turn up eventually. A few years past, I now work in the same department as Adam. He is a good work colleague, but can be dismissive and ignorant sometimes. Adam invited me to his wedding with the lady, Chelsea, he cheated on Mary with. As the entire department was invited, I said yes, making sure Mary is okay with this. I've also told her where the wedding will be. It's not too far from where she lives, and we could go for some drinks after if she wanted to. On the day of Adam's wedding, I have noticed that Chelsea is wearing a similar dress that Mary wore in the photos of hers and Adam's wedding years ago. So without thinking, I have snapped a picture and sent it to Mary with the caption saying, "Doesn't this dress look familiar?" Mary saw the message, but she didn't respond, and about an hour later the police showed up at the venue. I need to add the police in our country is ruthless, and any theft is considered a criminal matter for the police to deal with. Police has asked Chelsea to take the dress and all the jewelry off. Chelsea refused and started arguing with them, and then Adam joined in. As they were rude to the police, they were taken to the police station. Everyone at the wedding had to leave. I have tried to call Mary, but she wouldn't pick up the phone. As we found out later, Chelsea was wearing Mary's wedding dress and her heirlooms. Mary spotted them on her in the picture I sent to her and called the police. Apparently, she has previously asked Adam if he had them, and he declined, saying he never saw them. So after she saw the picture, she knew he was lying and stole them. Chelsea had to leave the wedding dress and jewelry at the police station and go home wearing her underwear and Adam's jacket after they were bailed out. Yesterday, Adam returned to the office and went completely mental at me, blaming me for sending a picture to Mary and ruining his wedding. He would also call me an idiot for what I did. Let's start judging. So Adam cheated on his wife, stole her wedding dress and heirloom jewelry, and then passed them on to his new fiancée, who may or may not have known. All you did was alert the ex-wife. You didn't call the cops. She did because she knew the background of him stealing from her and lying about it. I think it's pretty clear that Adam's the idiot, and possibly the police for the very severe way they handled this. You're not in the wrong. You're not in the wrong. I can't believe he would give his ex-wife's wedding dress and family jewelry to his new wife to wear in their wedding. I wonder if the new wife was told where he got them. I'd almost guarantee he made up a story about them being his family heirlooms. You're not in the wrong. I mean, yes, technically you are the idiot from Adam's perspective, but you are totally justified in sending the photos and giving Mary the opportunity to get her things back and get some well-deserved revenge on that thieving idiot. The wedding was the only chance for her to get back her possessions as they were out in the open with time to get them. If you sent her the pictures after the wedding, Adam would have had chance to hide or sell them. You absolutely did the right thing at the right time. Next up, I, 16 men, have been told by my parents that I need to sleep in the basement to accommodate my younger cousins who are sleeping over for a week. My relatives have recently moved to where we are, and they are still settling in. My family decided to help them by letting them stay over for a week or so. Our house isn't that big, so I don't know why my parents even decided that. And FYI, I am an only child. So it happens, they settle in our house. But the problem is literally the entire house is cramped at this point. Luggages and bags are everywhere. My uncle and aunt are sleeping in the living room. My cousin, who's around the same age as me, is sleeping in a small one-person DIY guest bedroom. It's just a small unused room that barely has any space, and my 2 younger cousins are going to be sleeping in my room. Now, my room is also pretty small, combined with my desk, bed, closet, and more. Only 2 people can sleep in it, so my parents asked me to sleep in the basement, and my aunt and uncle agreed. I flat out refused. Our basement isn't the worst, but it's dusty in there and cold. And even if I did, I had to sleep on an uncomfortable mattress with nothing but a thin blanket and a pillow probably, and that would be super uncomfortable. I wouldn't want my younger cousins to go through that too, but it was my bedroom. I asked if I could sleep in my parents' room instead, but as I said, every room in our house is pretty small. My parents' room is also filled with the different stuff they had when they moved. My parents got kind of pissed off at me, and we had an argument. It ended up with me going over to a friend's house and sleeping there for the entire week. My relatives were there. Edit. I realized I didn't put enough info. Sorry for that. But 1, the basement is really cold now, even with a heater, because I don't think the insulation done in our basement was ever done properly. And hence the reason why most of our unused stuff is down there, because we barely go down there. 2, I'm not allowed to take my own bedding with me. Just an extra blanket, which is thinner than my usual blankets, plus a pillow because my cousins are using them. Let's start judging. I have a solution. You sleep in your room with one of your cousins. Your aunt can sleep in the living room with the other cousin, and your uncle can sleep in the basement. You're not in the wrong. You solved the problem. Just remember when this continues to come up to say something like, "The house was filled to overcapacity. I was expected to make all the concessions. Being shoved in a cold, damp basement. And since no one else wanted to sleep down there, even though it was apparently good enough for me, or I should be the only person exiled, I made arrangements to sleep somewhere else for the week. Why are you mad at me?" Then they will call you rude, because that is what happens when you call someone out for their bad behavior. At that comment, you simply say, "I see," then walk away. You're not in the wrong. I hated that nonsense. Parents would volunteer my room to relatives when they came to visit when I was kid. I had to share a bed with my mom, and I hated it. I get helping out. But your parents are idiots by cramming more people in an already small house. Parents or aunt-uncle should have slept in the basement, and you take their space. Goes to show that they would rather sacrifice your comfort because they can. If they won't sleep in the basement, why should you have to? And before anyone says, "It's family, it's only for a week," forcing someone to sleep in the cold basement because relatives are staying over is a stupid idea. At least you have a good friend and their family looking out for you. Next up, background. We live in a country where weed is illegal but not entirely frowned upon. We have been going through a rough time as our cat just died. She was very close to us. I run a business which involves people coming to our property frequently. My wife makes weed butter and bakes with it. I do not partake, but I have zero issue with her getting high. This morning we woke, and I could tell my wife was upset, mostly about our cat passing away. I stayed in bed for an extra hour with her to comfort and cuddle, etc. Then eventually I had to get out of bed as I had a new client coming to the house. At the time of leaving the bed, her mood had improved. She was well aware of new clients coming over, as I had mentioned it numerous times. Fast forward, it's 10 minutes until the clients arrive, and I have just finished cleaning my office and prepping. I then walk into the adjacent room, and it reeks of marijuana. I immediately panic because obviously it would look completely unprofessional to prospective clients that we are getting high. I quickly turn on the AC and spray perfume everywhere. My wife does help and offers the idea of scented spray, but she is also telling me to relax and that they are not going to smell it because the doors are shut to my office area. This agitates me further. I do not believe this, as I think the smell can travel quite easily, and that we might be accustomed to the smell and can no longer tell how intense it is. I am quite agitated, and my voice does raise. I do not shout at her, but my voice is louder than usual. I also tell her that I am disappointed in her for not having the foresight to see this problem. Fast forward, my meeting goes well, but I will never know if they were able to smell the marijuana or not. Afterward, I apologize to my wife for my agitated mood. I ask her to be considerate of the fact I was panicked and tense. She is upset with me for scolding her. I then immaturely rescind my previous apology, because in my mind, if she is going to act defensive about this situation, then the gloves are off. We have no spoken since, so there you have it. A mild-mannered first-world argument at its core. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. I don't have a problem with weed, but it stands to reason that if your spouse works from home and has clients coming over, you don't light up beforehand. Your wife is in the wrong, and it was disrespectful to you and the fact you run a business from your home. You're not in the wrong. I live in a country where weed is completely legal. However, if I were having clients in my home, I would be very upset if my husband made the house reek like weed before they arrived. They definitely smelled it if you could. It's not a professional look, and she easily could have waited until after they left. You're not in the wrong. I do not imbibe, but my spouse does on a daily basis. Regular users become nose blind, but to someone that doesn't smoke weed regularly, it reeks. It is a very noticeable, pungent smell. To me, it's similar to smoking cigarettes indoors. She should have been more considerate.